12 o'clock.
Okay.
We're right in at 12 o'clock.
Well, we're early for being.
We're early for not being early.
Right.
Somebody's early. You need to come down a little lower. You're a little too tall today. Come down a little bit so they can see you. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today on this fine Wednesday afternoon? And like I said, today's episode, we're going live. Walter, you're messing up the camera. You just bumped into the thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's killing me. We're going to talk Temple of the Damned live. And I've done all the other records that I've been a part of Exodus with. And this episode is no different. We are going to talk about the thought process, the songs, everything leading up to that. We'll probably talk a little bit about Rob Dukes, a little bit, because that so many of you guys have watched that. We'll definitely talk about the live streaming show that my tribute band ACDC is doing on April 3rd. So there's going to be a lot going on with that. But let me get right into Temple of the Damned. Now, going into Temple of the Damned, I really wasn't a part of the band, or I don't think I was supposed to be part of Temple of the Damned. And let me back up a little bit. Exodus got back together around 97 or 98, and they did a live record called Another Lesson in Violence, or Lessons in Violence, where they did all the songs plus Impaler live at a club in San Francisco. And it was basically...
At the Trocadero?
It was at the Troc, right. Mm-hmm. And it was basically the original lineup, except for Rob McKillop. That was when Jack Gibson had joined the band. And to think about it, Jack Gibson's been the longest tenured member of Exodus up to now. I know I've been in twice since then, and Jack's still been there. So you should get some kind of a medal for that. Anyway, they had, back in 98, they, had done that live record, and I went to the show, actually, and saw it. But I wasn't really doing anything musically at that point after Exodus has left, like I'd said before. After Exodus kind of ended up ending, I got into construction.
That was in 92 when it ended.
93, more like 93,
and,
94.
The last studio album before Temple of the Damned was Force of Habit in 92. Okay.
So in that period of time, which would have been probably 7 or 8 years, I was just basically raising my kids, coaching soccer, coaching baseball. Everybody knows I worked as a carpenter. I kind of got out of music. And then I actually started a band called F-Bomb that really nobody knows much about, with Perry Strickland from Violence. And we had a couple of other guys that were in the band. Unfortunately, one of the guitar players, Steve Schmidt Green, passed away 2 weeks ago. R.I.P. Green.
Yeah.
It's too bad, but it was his introduction into everything. He was 20 years old. I brought him out of nowhere, and we had this band going on about F-Bomb, and I was just toiling with music at that time. I didn't really want to leave my family. I didn't really want to go on tour. So it came out that Chuck got sick, and all the bands kind of got together and did Thrash of the Titans, and you guys all know about that. I'm not going to get deep into that. Tour was kind of a benefit, and everybody from the Bay Area pretty much reformed.
And you sang with Exodus.
I sang with Exodus just the once. I sang Brain Dead with them, but I also sang with Legacy that night.
Yes.
But so everybody played that night, and I think after that show, everybody kind of got an inkling of thinking, "Wow, we're not
Thrash is back.
We're not so forgotten. Maybe there is an avenue for us all again." And so a lot.
We're not retired yet,
right? Well,
or we're coming out of retirement.
Or we don't have to call it all quits yet, anyway. So I think Exodus was one of the first bands that was actually talking about recording a new record from all of the bands that had played on that day, other than like Anthrax, who has always stayed current. Everybody else kind of pieced together to get that done. So my initial, I was in, I was in F-Bomb. I was family man, coaching baseball, coaching soccer, doing those, fatherly things that you do. And then I was under the understanding that, and this didn't happen while I knew it, I found this out later, that they were all talking Exodus with Paul. We're talking about doing a new record. Now, I guess during that meeting or something, is when they kind of noticed that Paul was having a little bit of a slur with his voice or his speech. And then it wasn't shortly after that that he had a massive stroke and passed. And I was called in to fill in just some shows that they had booked up, which I agreed to do. And then from there, and this was in 2002. No, it was 2002 that Paul passed. So this is right after that. It's in 2002. And so I joined. And then by 2003, there was no record deal. I mean, the band had been dead for years, you know, kind of. And the whole thing was like, okay, well, we're going to, you know, write and record a new record. And Gary had tons of riffs. And so that process was, it took kind of a while to get it together. Through that period, not everybody was clean. You know, the band was up and down. It was just, you know, it seemed like a natural progression for all of us to do. So we were writing the songs. The songs were all getting written, and we were looking for kind of shopping it. Our old manager, Tony Isabella, and our old A&R from Capitol, Rachel Matthews, were kind of seeing that they were going to put a label together, and we were going to be the first band on their label, and that didn't seem to work out. So what we did was one of our friends funded the album, and we went to a studio in Moss Beach, which is out by Half Moon Bay in California, and re-recorded Temple of the Damned. And then after the recording of it is when we had sent it to Nuclear Blast, and then that's when the relationship.
You recorded at what is that?
Tsunami, yes. Tsunami Studios, and
except the drums were recorded by Tom in Prairie Sun.
That's right. That's right. He did the drums in Katati, and we basically pieced this record together with no money, just borrowing from here, and then it became a record deal from there. But the mindset of the band at that time, and a lot of you think that it's oh wow, it's one of Exodus's greatest records, and I've heard it's the best comeback album ever recorded for bands that went away as long as we did and came back. I would have to say that we were all very disappointed with how everything went, kind of, and very angry and very pissed off, and no record label was now directing us on how we should write songs, or we need to demo songs for them so they can hear them and be sure that this is actually what they want to be able to sell, because that was the whole story between Impact and Force. Capitol was not behind it. So this was a record that came from Exodus, came from our hearts, came from like, we got nothing, we ended up with nothing, and this is a raw record and hits right in your fucking face.
As a fan, I think there's like a couple different distinct points of Exodus. Everything before that, Fabulous and Pleasures and Bonded and all that, is the classic Exodus period. This is the start of the modern Exodus. I think there's such a long period of time between Force of Habit and Tempo that things had changed. There's a lot of death metal that came out, melodic death metal, all those bands, and that influenced Gary's writing style a little bit. So I look at this as the start of the modern period of Exodus. But anyway, go ahead.
I could agree with that, Walt. I do, because I'll say this. Exodus was always aggressive, but we were always aggressive in a very tongue-in-cheek way. And we still are, very metaphorically speaking in a lot of terms. But this one was like, Star Spangled Banner, opening track. Right in your fucking face. Lyrical content, right in your fucking face. I mean, it's a great riff. It's a great song. It just, moves in the whole, all the way through. It's a great composition. It's just a perfect way to open the song. Do you have the song?
I got the list. It's Star Spangled Banner. It's
Star Spangled, like not a star. Banner. The band.
It's 6 minutes and 41 seconds. Before we go into the track listing, so it was the first. It was the last appearance of founding member Tom Honey until 2007's Exhibit A, and also was Jack Gibson's first.
That's true.
And also it is the first one that had Kirk Hammett was credited for the song Impaler on that.
That's right.
So there was a lot of firsts for this album, and it was the last appearance of Rick Hinault who later returned in 2012 for a summer tour with you guys. But that was his last album that he did with you guys. So there's a lot of firsts in this. And like I said, it's the modern period going forward from there and into the Dukes period. But go ahead, we're going to do the track listing now. So
I agree with Walt on that. I agree with the aggressiveness of it. I believe that Gary his compositions got way more. There was a lot more of heavier influence on there, on stuff that he was listening to as well. And so to me, I mean, I love the opening of Star Spangled Banner. It's a great way to open a set. It's a great way to open a show. It says everything in the lyrics, although I didn't write them. I wrote two on this record. I wrote
War's My Shepherd.
Well, I wrote Wars
and Forward March.
And Forward March. But Gary also wrote a piece in War's My Shepherd. But a lot of the lyrical content, you know, it was. I mean, Gary's a great lyrical. He's for somebody who's not a singer. He's like Geezer Butler. He writes great fucking lyrics, and I can always trust. I never have to sing. Even on the new one, Persona Non Grata, his lyrical content and is just. I don't ever have to second guess it ever. I know it's going to be great when I you know, absolutely learn it the way he wants me to do it. And it's one of those things. It's just like, you know, I can trust it. And he's a guitar player. He's an amazing guitar player, amazing rhythm player, amazing lead player.
A riff machine.
Just, you know, he's the full package when it comes to that. So I never had to trust him on that, especially on this record, because I think this record is where it started to be like he really wrote a good portion of the lyrics on it. I would say 70 to 80% of the lyrics were written on on this one.
Right. So the second track is War's My Shepherd, which you said you co-wrote with Gary, and it's 4 minutes and 27.
The parts that I wrote in that is pay for all of those in pain, for those who died in vain, scars from battles nevermore. Still we fall down in war. War is my shepherd. But Gary wrote the verses.
It's a popular song because you're still playing that.
It's
right?
very brutal. It's very brutal. Fucking, it's a brutal song. We do still play.
I must say that this is my favorite album that's in the modern era of you guys. So just as a fan, you know.
I'm glad. And Walter is a huge fan. You guys don't know, he does get to travel with us. He's been with us forever. But I could go to him. What do you think of this, Walt? And he's a huge fan. He'll be honest with me, definitely.
Anyway, I thought I'd bring this up.
This is actually I pulled this off my bedroom wall. It's the promo
That's
poster.
the promo poster. The Bay Area Thrash Masterpiece Unleashed.
Of course, it's all signed except for Rick
course
because
it
it
is.
was missing at the time.
You don't understand. You don't understand. Okay, move that thing.
Yeah.
How many signatures of mine do you have, Walt?
I don't know.
Just be honest.
But I've never sold one.
I'm not saying you sold them, but how many times have I signed? Thousands.
Yeah.
But thousands.
It's all coming back.
Let's
to you.
go to thousands. Thousands, people. Thousands for what? He doesn't sell them. I know this.
Let's
but
say 100. But, you know, 1,000.
100's not even one. Okay, 1,000. But
I
100. 100. Fuck you. You got. I've 100 on one tourist thing's 100,000. Go with track list.
Okay, so the third one is Blacklist at 6 minutes and 17.
Another one we play, and another one that people want to hear all the time. And Blacklist is like, I mean, again, the lyrical content. If you read the lyrics to the song, this is not a happy record. This is not your tongue-in-cheek, you know, like Brain Dead's a cool kind of, we make fun of being a brain dead person. This album's got lyrical content, is not really, you know, for the faint at heart. It's very Exodus-y. It seems to me that this set the precedent for the lyrical content on the records that I was not even on Shovelheaded Kill Machine, on Exhibit A and Exhibit B. It seems like the lyrical content stayed with this continuity, and that's what I love about it. And that's kind of where we are with, if you want to call it modern Exodus. I love our lyrical content right now. I think it's very brutal and very violent. And
there was no record company telling you how
Persona
to do
Non
it.
Grata is no different. That's all I can say about that. Next track, Walt?
4 is Shroud of Urine coming in at almost under 5 minutes.
Now, one of my favorite songs, you know, everybody's heard of the Shroud of Turin, you know, where supposedly Christ's face is on. Well, none of us believe in any of that kind of shit. So we kind of...
It's not anti-religion, but
it's anti believing in something so symbolic like that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's just bullshit. You know, so we again, back to the lyrical content. Very, very deep, very heavy, and very straight up and in your fucking face.
Okay. And the fifth track is Forward March.
Forward March. I wrote this one completely. It was actually called Haul Ass Take Chances, but Gary changed it to Forward March because I said it. But if you notice in the lyrics, I do say that in like the sub choruses. I say that haul some ass, take some chance.
It's
say
7
that.
minutes and a half.
All the songs were long on that record. It seems like
Yes.
there's nothing really.
Well, there was
short.
one that's short, but we'll get to that.
So.
And the sixth track is Culling the Herd, 6 minutes and 7 seconds.
Yeah, Culling the Herd, kind of about useless people that, and usually have they're just jellies on life and have nothing. It's, just like, get rid of them. Culling the Herd, get, wasteful, waste of breath, waste of life, waste of our time. Culling the fucking herd, get rid of them.
Actually, Tommy Sinclair that was watching this made reference to that before that song, so it must be one of his favorites.
Good.
And we're getting a lot of people from Brazil, England. Of course, we got Claire.
Hi, Claire.
And Steve Mundy and
love all you guys.
Tommy
Thank you for
Sinclair
coming in.
again, and Steve, and there's a bunch.
I know that's your favorite song, Claire. I see that. You're just Culling the Herd. I know you've chimed in. I see your Instagram.
Also, Claire said it was the very best comeback album ever. That's what she
a lot
says.
of people say that. They do. I've heard that from a lot of other people. And of course, I'm sitting there and like, how can you say that? There's so many other people that have gone and come back and totally kicked ass. But, it's hard for me to be objective like that because I'm on the inside looking out. But you guys are the real fans, and I do believe you. You know what I mean? You guys stick with us, and you've been with us ever since then, and that's why.
Anthony Rivers asked a question. Did your next level vocal performance for a Temple album inspire you in any way to take vocals to the maximum limits on the Tenet album that you did with Jed?
I have a good question, and I'll have to say that I think when I heard the music for Tenet, when I heard what he was, what was just the tones and the aggression and the speed in a lot of it, I don't know. I just felt that I had to do it like that with a really high voice and really, over the top. But yeah, I didn't really think much of Tempo of the Damned when I was doing the Tenet record. I was trying to match the aggression of the vocal with the music that I was hearing in my head. If
And that's
that makes
totally
any
different
sense.
too.
If that makes any sense to you. So a lot of people say, wow, Zetro, your vocals on the Tenet record are very different. It's like, well, the music is a lot different from Exodus, so it called for it. If you wanted to take that to, like, say, Hatred or even Dublin Death Patrol, not too far from the formula, but Tenet was way off from the formula, so it called for it. So that's kind of why I went with that.
We got another good question from Kevin Kulo. Did Bailoff sing on any of the demos or the music before?
No, because nothing had been demoed or anything before. In fact, I don't even know if he even heard it because Paul died in I think it was February of 2002.
Yeah, we just passed the anniversary.
Yeah, right. And we didn't get going on this till after 2003. And I remember we did a festival because, well, actually, when we get to, what's the next song? Because when we get...
we were at the Sealed with a Fist.
Okay, so that's perfect.
That's the short one, 3:36.
Okay, that's why this leads me into that. Now, Sealed with a Fist was one of the first songs we ever played live before the record, and it wasn't called Sealed with a Fist. I had written lyrics and it was called Angry, and it was about Gary Holt, and it was like angry, but angry, and instead of, and then it went Angry, and it kind of went like that, and we actually played it like that at Vakken. We played Vakken one year, and we played it, and we played, I can't remember what else we played, but that was the first time we did, and that was in 2003. I believe.
That's a pretty big place to play.
Yeah, well,
you know.
yeah, we did. That was like we're the only festival we played in 10 years. I met some Italian guys that said they came from Italy just because they saw that we were playing on that festival. I don't think we were that good that day. In fact, I saw reviews saying we were awful. We didn't even have a set list. We went up there and going, okay, what are we going to play next? Okay, yeah, let's play that. That's always looks awful. But I remember playing that on that festival. So Sealed with a Fist was a different. And then he came back and said, you know, Zetro, I don't know really like it. I don't know if I like those Hang Gary lyrics. I'm okay, I got that, Gary, no problem. And he goes, but I got this. And Sealed with a Fist is, you know, obviously, instead of Sealed with a Kiss, again, more Exodus type metaphors.
The play on words.
Right, the metaphors. The Sealed with a Fist is, you know, obviously about, you know, you better watch it because she might just kick your ass. You know what I mean? So, again, on this record, there was hardly any, you know, it was very, you know, boom, boom. Everything had some bite to it. Everything had some bite.
All right, then we go to the 8th track, Throwing Down at 5 minutes, just a minute.
Throwing Down, the one that that Gary had a band after Exodus, ended in 93, 94, called War Dance.
War Dance.
And this was a song from War Dance. In fact, I didn't write the lyrics, and neither did Gary.
John Miller.
John Miller wrote the lyrics for this song. And a lot of people, I love it. I love that song. It's got a good groove to it, but it wasn't initially an Exodus song. It was a War Dance song, but of course we turned it.
I remember I saw War Dance once. They didn't play too many gigs.
No, I seen it at the Berkeley Square.
Yeah, it was.
I was at one show
something
that they
obscure
played.
kind of place.
Very, very tiny, and so it was, and that was John, Jack, Gary, and Tom.
All right, and then we come to the 9th track, and this is a good question. It's like, why did they put Impaler so far down on the?
I don't sequence the records. I just sing on them.
Right.
And it was the first time that we had done something on vinyl or on a record from the Kirk Hammett era. And so this was one of the first songs, I guess one of the songs that Kirk had written with the band. I never played with Kirk in Exodus. I joined Exodus in 86. My initial time, Kirk was out of Exodus in 83.
All right, so what's interesting also, I'm sure all you real thrash heads out there know, but in Impaler, the riffs that Kirk brought to Metallica is in Trapped Under Ice and on Ride the Lightning. But some of that influence, that's very few of the things that were that Kirk had brought to Metallica were like used, because, you know, James and Lars.
Well, Exodus also had a song called Dying by His Hand. And in Creeping Death, there's that part that goes, die by my hand. That's an Exodus song. That's the chorus.
But there's not too many.
I've never played it, though. We've never, ever, Exodus has never played it since I've been in the band, that song. But it was a song that they played back in the day. Dying by His Hand was the name of the song.
So actually, it was Holt, Hammett, Bailoff, and Hunting on the writing credits on that song. 5 minutes
for you,
and 25
just,
seconds.
you know.
So I think that was kind of really cool to bring, because, you know, there's a bunch of tracks like Scott's Breath, some of the ones that are the old Exodus that have just been forgotten or that are on bootleg, and you never.
Breath.
Yeah, that's Scott's Breath, right? Hell's Breath.
Scott's Breath.
You know, that was a long time manager.
I played that like one time, I think.
I'm just saying, you see, I just something that
there was
popped in my head. That,
the Whipping Queen demo. We hardly do any of those songs off that.
So I think it was really cool, and I'm sure that everyone loved seeing that happen on this album, right? And then we go right into the 10th track and the last track on the album, the title track of Temple of the Damned, and it's 4 minutes and 22 seconds by Gary Holt.
Yeah, another very fast. What a way to end the record, kind of like
with the title track on the last.
Feeding, so what? Fits. It totally fits, and it's a great song, and it's sequenced.
How many bands do that, though? You know?
Who cares? We don't do what other bands do, obviously.
That's what I'm saying.
Obviously, we do what we want to do. But I love that song. We haven't played that live in a long time, though. But, and that was actually one of the first ones we had, too, you know, and I remember we released a little piece of that, like maybe a minute and a half of it. And fans were going apeshit once they heard it. But
what's up, Arvid? He says it's 1:40 a.m. in India, so we're just saying hello.
Oh,
a couple of you
glad
guys.
You can join us in India.
Truly high. He says definitely one of Steve's best performance on that album. How do you feel like your singing style compared to all the albums? That
The first initial period, people, I was learning, I was winging it. I was like, oh, that kind of sounds cool. Let me do that. I mean, if you listen to Pleasures, I do a little bit more singing on Pleasures, and then Fabulous, I kind of get a little bit more nasally with the Bon Scott Udo type, snarl.
You're finding your own little thing.
And then I got a little bit more high screaming on Impact. And then Force of Habit was like back to trying to do more singing and trying to be more vocally acceptable. It was a whole fucking capital thing. But I think Tempo was me being me. When I heard the music and this is what I did, nobody was really directing me. I mean, Andy Sneap was a great producer on that. Andy was the first time, the last few records I've done, Andy hasn't really produced them necessarily. He's mixed them and mastered them. He didn't engineer them, but Tempo, he engineered and everything. So he was right there and he knew how to get out of me and he did. And I think a lot of my credit goes to Andy for telling me, because I would be there and he'd go, no, Zach, don't do that snarl voice. Do that Billy Gibbons thing that you do, So he had all these little names for all like my little voices of all my tones that I kind of do that in my range that I do. And he would go, no, you know what I hear there? Do that like Udo accept thing that you do, kind of with the little Bon Scott scream at the end. I like that, and that's kind of how we did that, you know.
It's kind of cool, and as we remember, we go back to the Rob Dukes interview. He had said that about Andy it's really good to work with a producer that knows, that can bring things out of you. That's why you have and pay a producer.
But you know
like
what? I'll say this though, and I love Andy. I love guys that can bring things out of me. I have to give props to Juan Urtiaga from Trident Studios, because I've done many records with him. I did the Hatred records with him. And he really knows. He's another guy who knows how to pull vocal out of you, and I like that. I like to tell me what you hear, because I'll try it. But Gary's good at that too. Like when I'm doing my tracks for Persona or whatever.
And I'll tell you, because I've watched you actually record some of your tracks, like in Fabulous and at the Turk Street Studios. But actually, Gary's behind the glass, and a lot of times he'll give you the finger, like when he wants you to come in or come out. And I've seen him like a little bit of hands-on director almost.
Believe me, I have to tell you, when you guys finally get to hear the new record, the vocals are definitely me, but a lot of the direction is what Gary hears in his head. And so him and I have to get together and decipher what he hears, what's going on there. And sometimes I record stuff and I go back and record it again and maybe even again, so that until he feels that, yeah, that's it. That's what I really hear.
Yeah.
So he's a very good
on the new album. Let me just put this question out there. Will there be any twists and turns on your voice, or how would you compare that? I know you don't want to give it away.
All I'm going to say is yes.
Okay, so I did.
Yes.
I want to say I heard like 4 songs, and I'm not going to say anything.
You can't.
No,
because then you'll get.
I get in trouble.
You'll get in
me.
trouble. Everybody will yell at you.
That's right.
So that's why I can't tell you anything, guys. I'll give you. Is there vocal twists?
Yes. All right.
Yes.
So I have a question from Janny. Hello, Mr. Souza. I'm Janny. Come from Hamburg, Germany. My question would be, the album has become slightly progressive because Gary Holt got a rejection from Machine Head at the time. Is that true?
I know that he tried out for Machine Head. I do know that. That's true. And I know that he did not get the gig.
There.
That's true. I don't know if that has anything to do with that, though, because that was way earlier. In fact, from what I understand, that was before War Dance, or around the same time. So we're talking 94, 95-ish, kind of. So very early. So I don't know. I don't know. But that is,
Tommy Sinclair, have you guys come up with an album cover for the new record? Is there any covers?
I believe there is, but I don't know.
We'll see if it makes
Tommy,
it.
I can't give you shit, man. You're gonna get me in trouble, bro.
Well, that brings us to the last bonus track of Tempo of the Dam, which is Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap on the Digipack bonus. And you covered. This is your second time that you covered an ACDC song. Is that correct, or from
Second time, yeah, because we did overdose,
Overdose,
on
okay.
on
So that was a good question.
Fabulous Disaster.
Segue to this.
We love ACDC. We know that my vocal is very similar to what Bon Scott's sound is, and well, we're gonna get to my tribute band because I
Yeah, we
had
got
my
it.
own tribute band for 12 years, and
When we wrap this album, we'll talk a little about
exactly. We're gonna get into that. So I guess that whole thing, but all of us, it's not really because of that. It's because we love ACDC as we grew up. That all of us, I'll be 57 later this month. This is what we were weaned on. This is what we are. So
I got a good question for you.
Good rock and roll. You can't hard rock and roll.
You go through Pleasures and Fabulous and Impact, and you have this kind of a sound. And how do you think now? You change sound going into the tempo and being this modern Exodus. And do you think that the kids that brought in because you can't just stay the same. We're all like, look at me, I'm 60 years old, but you want to bring the younger kids in here, And that I think that has the writing that you just can't stay the same. Is that true, Steve?
Well, I think you should always be open to listening to what's going on, but never stray away from the formula. I think Exodus's formula is basically violence and brutality, and the riffs are always, very intricate in your face. The drums are always very pounding. The vocals are very, fire spit it off, spit in your face. Even if it's Bailoff or it's Rob or myself, the delivery has all been that way with the vocals. So it really doesn't matter that much. I just think that as a composer, looking at from Gary's point of view as a composer, he listens to a lot of different other heavy shit. You know what I mean? And
much like Eric from Testament does that also. This Testament is not the same Testament.
Well, you have to progress. I mean, as much as you like everything to sound, I mean, you guys would hate it if there would be 12 Bonded by Bloods now. You know what I mean? So there has to be Bonded by Blood was the tongue-in-cheek funny album. Let's kick in your face and rape and murder your wife.
This is another question I have. When you notice the people in the crowd, and I know you do, is it more of the older fans that you look at, or is it more of the younger, or is it
depending on where you're at? Some nights we'll be there and it's like, oh, got old school crowd out there tonight. Some night we'll come out there and it's just a whole front row of young kids that are just getting into it or been into it or their parents have turned them into it. I know. Come on, chime in, some of you youngsters that got into metal even after we've started. Some of you guys that were born in 90 or even in 2000. I mean, you're 21 years old now. What?
I got Brandon Owen that asked a good question. Were there any songs that didn't make this album that were used on Shovelhead and Kill Machine?
No. If Gary had songs, I didn't hear them. I didn't hear the riffs. And so I think Shovelheaded, he might have had them, but there was nothing that we said, no, we'll just save this for the next record. To be honest, we don't write like that. We write the songs that are going on the record. We don't write 20 songs or 25 songs and go, okay, we're going to pick these 11, because we don't feel we have any wash away songs. We don't have any shitty songs. We don't write songs.
Some bands write like 20 songs and use like 10.
Okay, well, why would you waste your time? Just write 11 good, great songs. Spend your time and really give your effort into those 11 or 10 songs or 9 or however you do it, and not give you filler songs. We don't give you filler songs. I don't think Exodus has filler songs, and I'm going to say this, I'll say this, Persona is
that's why some of these
there's
older
no
songs
fillers
never
on that.
I don't think that Gary would think like a lot of the older songs would hold up as well except they
I think they do, because we still play Fabulous Disaster. We still play.
I'm talking about the ones that weren't recorded from the old days.
I know. Yeah, I don't even know if there's. I doubt those riffs are even being used, and he's not going to look at it like that.
Eric Berry, this is a great question that
EB
goes right into the last part of this album. The album cover is great. Who did the artwork?
What was it? Joanna. She was Polish that did the record.
Kameniska.
Is that her last name?
Yes.
Joanna Kameniska.
Yes.
She's a Polish girl we just saw some cool things and we loved it. To be honest with you, That's like my favorite Exodus cover. I love the little, guy. You come on. I'm a monster guy. It's the first time we got a monster on there.
It's a take on Phantom of the Opera.
Kinda.
Yeah, that's what I
Temple
get
of the
from that.
Damned, and if you look under his feet, there's all the dead souls coming up, and I just loved it. I always loved that.
All right. So now let's talk about when you recorded this. You said that you went to Moss Beach. What do you remember about going to Moss Beach? Is that where you recorded your vocals?
Now,
Right.
my vocals recording. You got to remember, it's back at a time where I had a job, and I worked for a union construction company.
They gave you some days off.
No.
No. Wow.
No. I got up at 4 in the morning.
You're a morning person.
But I wasn't then. We're talking 20 fucking years ago, Walt. I got up at 4 in the morning. I left my house at 4:15. I started in Richmond, California. This is during my vocal tracks. At 5. I got off at 1, which was 8 hours later with a break. And then I drove from Richmond across the Bay Bridge all the way to Moss Beach, recorded maybe 2 or 3 hours worth of vocals, drove back home to Dublin from Moss Beach. Now, if you people want to pull that out, that's Richmond, California to Moss Beach to Dublin. Went to sleep, got up the next day at 4:15 in the morning and did that. And that's how I did my vocal tracks for 17 days on this, because it took me 17 days to do the vocals on Temple of the Damned.
Now,
And that's how I had to do it. I had a family, guys. I couldn't quit my job and just go and tell them, hey, by the way, I got to go record a record, because they're going, great, because we had no money. We were not getting paid to record this record. I needed the job to help pay my bills.
and let's set this record straight. Back in the early days of Exodus, when you first joined, and through all the way to Force Habit, you get a paycheck, wouldn't you, Steve?
Right,
Everybody
yes.
in the
Yeah, we
bands
got
used
paid.
to get
That's
paychecks
right.
back then.
We
And that
got
takes
paid.
a lot of stress off of just a monetary pay. It's not like a fabulous paycheck, but it's a good enough to keep
I'll
you
tell you
living.
what, we kept this, you know what I mean? We were not rich rock stars, but we lived okay, and we could all function and not have to go to a regular job until 1993. And so I mean, and then I went again, and of course, my children are grown now. I only have myself to take care of, so the business can take care of me again. You know what I mean? So since I've been back in Exodus since 2014, I've no longer had to do construction anymore. But again, I do the show.
You still
I do
work hard on
exactly
other things.
This thing,
Right.
we're doing this. I'm
How
still,
about this? This album was released 2 years to the day after the death of former member Paul Bailoff.
That's right, because it didn't come out.
So
till
it was
04.
February 2nd. We're talking about when he died, and this is isn't that?
That's right.
How does
That's
that
right.
ring true? Is that just
That's right.
by
You know,
chance? Steve, or-
I'm not quite sure if it was done ironically or not, or if we were even aware of it at that time. Because I know the record was done in the summer of 2003, but Nuclear Blast waited to put it out. So, and I don't know why, you know what I mean? But it was just one of those things. But again, all of that is history. All of that stuff is kind of how it goes. The touring on that, I'll get into a little bit of that. We really didn't go out with anybody. We were headlining in front of 150 people, 100 people. I remember we were in Chicago on a Friday night, and there was I think we had 375 people there, and we were all happy. It's packed out there. Wow. And then I think we were in Iowa. Gary and I talk about this, or Idaho. I think it was Iowa. And the guys at the bar, when we played, there was nobody there. I think 7 or 8 paid tickets, to whereas the guys that were sitting at the bar watching the game were all looking back at us like, can you tell them guys to shut up? We're trying to watch the game over here. So it was kind of one of those type of things. And so that tour was like that. We did go to Europe, and we did, it was called Bonded by Metal Over Europe. And it was with Agent Steel and Nuclear Assault and 13 other bands. And we played some stuff here and there. Nothing really to talk about. No real festivals. No real huge, outrageous crowds at that time. The touring cycle just was not, all that good. That's how I had to leave. That's how I left. I could no longer make a living trying to tour
do both.
and work and support a family. It just wasn't working.
And it must have had an impact on even your marriage,
well,
too,
of course
right?
it did, believe me. Well, and my bank account, my actual personal bank account from the point that I was in Exodus, that point, I mean, took a huge hit because every time I went out, I had to supplement other bills from that I wasn't getting a paycheck in, you know. So it was a time when I was young and I was learning, but these kind of things happen, and we all seen what's happened since then. So
All right.
I had to leave the band, but after 10 years, I returned.
We can move on to the music videos that were filmed for those songs, Wars by Shepherd and Throwing Down. What do you remember from those, and where were they done, and how did that go?
We did them on the one was done on
Wars
on
by
the,
Shepherd was on the
Hornet.
On the Hornet, right here in the Bay
and we
Area.
only had 4 hours to film it. And when you see us going up in the airlift, they only did that twice. So
It's
we
like
had
the helicopter and plane lift that goes
and
up, right?
Maurice from he was in a cult then, but Legion of the Damned. He's video director, and he directed those videos, both of them. So they were actually
So this is a World War II boat that's pretty famous for picking up like the Apollo missions. And
it's the USS Hornet.
Right.
It's in Alameda, and
Very
they allowed
smart.
us to do the video on that. It was the shortest video ever. It was the greatest. Only took 4 hours to shoot that video. Normally,
That's
people,
nice for you.
if you've never seen a video or know how they gone,
Yeah, they go
They could be
long.
18 hours or 2 days like that, just setting up shots. One shot could be set up for an hour and a half to get 3 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like, videos are no fun.
and do this again and do that.
Do that again. And after you hear the song a million. Everybody loved Toxic Waltz after Fabulous Disaster. That was our first video. I hated it after we did that video. It took 16 hours of filming. Remember that? 2 days at the Fillmore.
Yes, I
and
do.
Thousands of times we had
3
to hear
days for the crew.
Toxic
All right.
Waltz over and over and over and over and over again. I didn't want to play that fucking song. And we hadn't even toured yet. And I didn't want, when we came to play it live, I couldn't even stand it.
All right, we got a few. I just mentioned Jeff
Cool.
says DDP for life. Of course, we're all love Dublin Death Patrol. And Sparrowhawk says, dude, you should come tour in Texas. And of course, Lee Diaz. What up, Zetro and Walter?
My man.
Tempo, one of my favorites. And I just saw his artwork on your
He just saw
motorcycle
my
today.
bike in person. He just saw my bike.
Lee.
If any of you guys have not seen my,
Have him do an album cover for you. I think that Lee would be great.
Lee would be great. I don't, Lee. We have it down. I don't know why.
He's an artist.
But you know me. You got
Man.
my heart. Actually, when we're done, I'm gonna have Walt take pictures of my bike. And if you haven't seen them, why don't you put them up on my Facebook later?
Okay.
And do it, because if you haven't seen my bike,
I did put Lee took some pictures of it that were
yeah,
really
but this
done,
one's
and
all
then
together. This is why I want your ass to bring your little camera over there.
I tried to get it to Blabbermouth, but they didn't want to pick it up.
Well, they will eventually when they get bored with some. But the most amazing, you guys know I'm a horror guy. My bike was completely painted in a horror theme by the amazing Lee Diaz from Arizona. And this guy is just absolutely amazing. All of my
Dagobah
classic...
System said, were you guys talking about DDP yoga? Do you do yoga?
No, my old lady does yoga. You mean that's Diamond Dallas Page yoga. I know what that is. He's actually done really well from Diamond Dallas Page yoga. I know what that is.
Anthony
But
says,
back to Lee.
come
I gotta-
to
I
Oregon.
gotta
That's
finish
true.
with Lee.
Go ahead.
Lee, amazing job you did on my bike. I'm going to have Walter put up some stuff. Frankenstein, Barnabas Collins, all the classic monsters, London After Midnight, Reagan, The Wolfman, Dracula, Nosferatu, Living Dead Girl, Ardith Bay, Bride, Killer Jumps, Bob Wilkins, the creature feature host on my back fender with creature features under it.
Beautiful.
Bravo.
That's a hum.
So go to my Facebook later, and then Walter's going to get those pictures.
Yeah, they'll be as good as I can take. Cause it's shining out here, and when I was taking them, I'll get Steve on the bike.
Either that or I can pull him in the
We'll
garage
do
and
that.
shoot him. So
All right, and we will say, okay, this is good. JC, my friend, says that, and Walter, what's up? Tempo is one of my favorite Exodus album recorded to date. It blew out my mind. Epic. What's your routine before recording vocals? Because I know every singer's it changes. It's different.
I just immerse myself into it. So like, if I get the music before the lyrics, I just start listening to the music even without the lyrics all the way through 4 times a day. I beat myself. Like, I'll give you an example. I did have the lyrics for the Tenet album, and actually Jed Simon had sung them before, so I had a guideline to go off of. I had to do the Tenet record. I took 5 weeks of listening to that album.
And he came out here, right?
Right.
Because I remember that. I met you at the studio.
4 times a day, listening to that record all the way through to prepare myself so that I knew everything that was going on. So, like when we were recording this last one, we all, we had a house up there that we lived in while other people were recording. I spent all day listening and learning and re-going over there and singing to it and finding ways that I wanted to do it. So I basically, when I go to do a record, I don't even watch TV. I don't even know what's on TV right now. I don't even care about anything. I don't know who won in football or baseball. I could give a shit less. I concentrate on that and that only.
All right, I know that Chuck goes through all these scales, but you don't do a.
I don't really need to do a warm up. I know what
Who's it? Ronnie James Dio said he never warmed up for anything.
I don't warm up for anything. I never warm up ever. I don't have to. I know what I need to do.
And you don't overstress your voice. So
I know how not to.
Right.
If I can't hear myself all that well one night or the monitor's not good,
yeah,
I know how hard to press here.
That's why it's good to have a good monitor, man.
Well, that's good too, and it is. And I'm saying that I love that because I don't like in-ear monitors. I tried them, and they take a lot away from the live show for me. I'm old school.
You don't wear them anymore. I thought.
Fuck no. For one tour, and I hated them. Gave them to my son. Cody from Atria wears my in-ears now. So I have a wedge in front of me, kick, snare, and me blasting, and that's all I need. And I can do it. And even if I don't get that, I know how hard, after years of pressure, tongue placement, jaw, how I sing, how I project, I know how to do it. So I don't really, like over stressing. Like, oh God, I can't hear myself, so I'm going to scream over everything. So then by the end of the show going, yeah, well, I couldn't barely hear myself tonight. I don't fucking ever lose my voice, and I don't ever sing too hard. And I've done, a couple of years ago, we were in Germany, and we did Headbangers Ball Tour, and it was Exodus, Sodom, Death Angel, and Suicidal Angels. We played 17 concerts in 17 days, no days off. And I have to do a headlining set. I was fine. So
when you're recording, do you partake in getting high before you do it or not?
It depends. Depends on what time it is. This doesn't bother me. This don't bother me fucking my vocal or anything like that. It does. Some people it does. It doesn't bother me. It never has.
All right, and I'm going to look for a couple more questions. But why don't we, we're already 47, almost 48 minutes into this, and we want to keep this under an hour. So we want to talk about the ACDC live stream that's coming up.
Yeah, so I have actually just secured the live streaming company. They're called Afton, and the tickets will be on sale in the next couple of days. So
it's going to be pretty cheap, pretty reasonable.
I'm only going to charge $10 for this. Now, if you want to donate and tips and all that kind of stuff, we're going to have that set up. But it's they're called Afton.tickets.com or something that I was talking to them earlier. Remember when you showed up? And we're going to get all the legal stuff that I have to do to sign to get that going. But April 3rd, this is happening, 12 noon time. And I'm very excited about this. I had Dave Chapman in last week, my guitar player. Was
awesome.
Tell him, Walt, how good is
Dave.
it? How is the ACDC tribute? Now, I want to tell you guys something. Not to toot my own fucking horn. Every project I've ever done, if that was Legacy, which was Testament, Exodus, Dublin Death Patrol, Tenant, anything I put my hands into, even the F-bomb things I did back that nobody ever heard, do you think my tribute band is going to be any less? It's not. Okay. Believe me. And my lineup is stellar because I do have on drums Will Carroll, who's a machine when it comes to anything.
And he loves ACDC.
He knows that he loves every band. Kiss, too. Yes. It's like, you can go him and he'll play it to T. My rhythm guitar player, Joel Proto, who plays in Vane, also plays in the Butlers. If you're in the Bay Area, they're amazing 70s hard rock cover band. He's
perfect Malcolm.
Plays Malcolm perfectly. On bass, I actually have Mike Butler from the Butlers, and he also played bass on Force of Habit from Exodus.
So that's kind of cool. You're going to get a little bit.
Yeah, I get a little bit of Exodus kind of.
You haven't played with him. When's the last time you played with him?
No, since then.
Since that tour ended, right?
Well, no, he actually did a couple of gigs for us with us.
Okay, yeah.
But since the pandemic shut everything down, and on guitars, the guy you met last week, Mr. Dave Chapman, who plays Angus, honestly better than Angus does Angus these days. And I'm telling you, the leads, the sound, the songs are all emulate the Bon Scott era of AC/DC. Now, everybody's always said my voice sounds a lot like Bon Scott, and when I do the tribute band, I do less Zetro. I actually do more try to channel Bon Scott and make it sound just like it. So it's something that if you guys are a fan of me and Will's, fan of Exodus, fan of AC/DC, and everybody loves AC/DC, we are going to be playing. This is the set right here.
What do you think? That's an hour and 45?
It's probably
maybe?
an hour and a half right there. You know what I mean? And so those are the songs we're playing, everybody. That's pretty much the order right there. And if this thing goes well, we'll do it again, and we'll let you guys pick the songs.
Right.
Because in the Bon Scott era,
You can sing them all.
we play them all. When have we not played it? We switch it around totally. We totally switch.
Not just the most popular, but
Not just the most popular.
I love
we,
that.
we switch it around. So, that's
All right.
what. So we want to do this. Again, they're called Afton. You'll go to afton.com to get a ticket, and it'll be just like any other live stream that you had. And I'll have that information up in the next couple of days on my Instagram, on the Facebook, on ACDZ Facebook, and you guys will be able to get that. And so, and then,
Let me say this. You've heard of like cover bands, and AC/DC cover bands, and every city's got them
Tribute.
almost. Tribute bands. But this is the most realistic, ultimate experience for an AC/DC fan because it's dead on. I mean, I think that you guys try to keep it even sometimes you play it fast. So no, this is like they played it.
We try to play it. When we're in rehearsal, we're like, nah, that's too fast. Play it like this. When we go to backup vocals, Malcolm and Phil always came up to the mics and then back up. We do the same thing.
And you
Angus
might
and
even-
Vaughn run the front. It's
And you listen
great.
to their live stuff and know how it changes. There's even a variation between the studio album and the live versions they've done, like on video, that you guys have like broken down and decided how you're going to do this. But it sounds like AC/DC. And
It
I
is.
think that they missed the boat when they didn't get Steve to sing for AC/DC, the real
Well, thanks,
AC/DC.
Walt.
I think,
You mean the break when Brian didn't do it anymore and
right.
Axel came? Well, thank
But
you for saying that.
anyway,
Walt.
if you
I
guys-
was considered. I know I was considered.
Yeah,
I
you
have
were-
people that went there.
I sent the
And
videos, my
yeah,
videos.
that's right. They cut to him and somebody or
Yes.
somebody got a hold
Got
of
a
you to
hold
send
of
the
me.
videos to them. I was considered, so I was very flattered that I was considered. I heard I was 5 on the pecking order. I don't know if that's true or not, but hey, just to be considered of a band that was iconic that I grew up listening to is absolutely amazing. So of course, I mean, and for Europe and South America and India and everywhere else, you guys finally get to see me do my AC. We've been doing this for 12 years. You all know that. So all of us, we're excited about playing for you guys. Totally.
I'll be there live too. But I want to say this too. I've told Dave this, and this is one of my main quotes I say. I go, hey, Dave, without Steve, you're just an AC/DC cover band. I tell Steve, without Dave,
Right.
it's
But
the
that's
vice
why it's
versa.
been Dave and I, and the lineup has changed.
But with
over
both
the
of
years.
them, you got Angus running around just like he does and dressing just like he does.
He does all the movements,
All the nuances.
plays to the crowd like that. Does all the blint, dun, 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 dun. He does all that shit. Gets on the ground, spins around. You gotta see this, people. You're gonna love this.
I wanted to ask this question when you and Dave were doing it live. Did you ever see Bon Scott?
I did.
Okay,
I
so
did.
I knew you did.
He
I
didn't.
did, so I got to see
He
him
didn't.
twice.
He didn't. I
With
seen
Dan
him.
the Greens.
I seen the 2 Dan the Greens, and then the one at the Henry J. Kaiser when Highway to Hell first came out.
Right. So I saw him. I got to see him twice. but
I
was
saw them on
lucky.
Power Age, and then I saw them.
Well,
Yeah,
at the
I
day
saw
of the
them
Green that
78
we're
and
at,
79 on Dan the Greens because they played Dan the Green each
they
year.
played Highway to Hell before the album even came out. That was
Right,
like their.
and then I saw them on the Highway to Hell tour, and then it wasn't much long after that he passed. So,
All right. So what I'm saying is, if you love ACDC, you're gonna love ACDZ because it is very true and very good. And it's like this is one of a lifetime thing. Also, I have some videos of them if you ever want to check out my YouTube.
there you go.
I have a YouTube.
But it's not the same lineup, but it'll give you an idea what me and Dave did.
Also, if you go to my YouTube too, there's a lot of people that ask about your chapel shows with Exodus. How there's now decided that they're not doing a DVD. We're going to do a DVD. Now they're not.
Again.
Okay, so right
don't know
now
about stuff
it's
like
not.
that.
But I'll tell you this: I filmed every song from that show, and it's on my channel. If you ever want to see the chapel shows, and if you look, you can
Well,
find
there
me.
you go.
But whatever. I have a lot of Steve on there. Some really intimate shows that show what it is. So if you're curious, you can go to my YouTube channel and check out ACDC. Anyway.
Now, Walt and I were going to get to Rob, but we don't have really time.
Now,
So this is
how
what
about
we're
this
going to
though?
do.
Do you have some new merchandise that you're
Well, let me
working
get
in
to
here?
that. Let me get to that.
okay.
So this is what we're going to get all to that. We were going to talk about some of the Rob Dukes comments because after 2 weeks now, that being up, 16,000 of you people have
No,
watched it.
when you said it, it was 15. The next day it was 16, and today it's 17.
Okay,
I'm
well,
keeping
now
track.
it's at 17.
now it's
Okay, I want to thank everybody for watching that. So what I have to say about that is
It's my favorite.
that was
one.
only a 2.5 hour interview that we put up, that Wayne had cut up what we thought were the juiciest parts. Rob and I actually talked for almost 6 hours. So next week, we are going to play 7 parts of that whole conversation uncut like we had done. So you're going to hear what you had heard in the 2.5 hours, but a whole bunch of other stuff uncut. So that's going to be next week. And then Walt and I will be back in 2 weeks from now. And we'll definitely be talking all the comments.
all the comments because there's so many of them.
And there's so many, and we'll be talking about the ACDC show. But before we go, we wanted to give away some stuff. We have great sponsors for Zetro's Toxic Vault. Our main sponsor, and he's been around forever, is Death Wish Coffee. And
I'm wearing the hat.
He's actually wearing the hat and the jacket. That
I got
we're
this
gonna-
jacket.
we're
Gonna
gonna-
give away how many hats, Steve?
We're
Two?
going to give away 2 hats. We're
And
gonna
the
weigh
jacket I'm wearing.
So we're
This
going to
is
weigh
a very
three
cool
prizes
jacket. Look
from
at this. Hold on.
3 prizes. Well, he's got an extra shot. 3
my-
prizes from Death Wish Coffee to some of you fans, and you'll get
These
with the hats and the
magnets?
jacket. You'll get this thing of magnets. If you haven't tried Death Wish Coffee, go out and get some at your grocery store. If you need to get up early in the morning, like I used to have to get up early in the morning to go to work to do that construction shit, God, I wish Death Wish Coffee was back then.
All right,
Go get
so
you
this
some.
jacket's not a cheap jacket. It's a windbreaker,
It's a
but
nice windbreaker.
It looks like the rain would just repel. It's not a cheap jacket. We're gonna give this away also.
Yeah,
but
so 2 hats, a jacket, and each one gets one of these magnets.
Okay, so
And
3
then
winners.
what are we going to do with that, Walt? Walt's decided on how we're going to do
I'm
that.
gonna go through these questions that people put out. I'm gonna pick out some of the best questions, and of course, it's got to be in the United States. I can't. I'd love to. Like, there's this guy
Sorry,
Jonas
you're-
from Russia right now. I want to
Sorry,
say hey to
Russia.
you for. We can't do it because it's like $20 to mail something over there. But I'm gonna hand mail these myself, and my email's walterjmorgan@gmail.com, and you'll have to go back to the comments, and I'll comment like who won at the top after we look at all these.
Well, once you
and
hit
decide.
them, they know they've been alerted on their comment.
Right.
too.
Once I reply to your comment, you're gonna have to email me, and then I will mail it personally to you. So you're gonna the 2 winners
little
are
bit
gonna
of a
get a
process,
hat like
but-
this. It's a very cool snapback
Yeah,
hat.
yeah, show them the back, Walt. Show 'em. It's cool. It's got a little skull back there.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that comes with the refrigerator magnets, and
Yeah.
the jacket's gonna have to be. Well, I'm gonna have Steve pick out the jacket winner because this is, like I said, it's not.
Yeah.
This is nice. I almost wanted to keep it, and I'm sure you do.
Yeah, but you know what?
We
Jeff
wanna get
Ayers
the
at
word out
Deathwish
there.
Coffee is so good to me. He sends me stuff to give to you guys. I could hoard this shit and keep it. And he's giving me some cool stuff, like a really nice jacket that I didn't give to anybody, but that was for me. But when he gives me the stuff, I like to pass it on to you guys because that's the whole idea of it, to gig it down. So that's what we're going to do at Death Wish Coffee, right?
Right. And so we'll do this, and then in 2 weeks, you said we'll do just Rob Dukes.
We'll do just Rob Dukes in a couple of weeks' comments. You keep your comments coming in, and especially we'll be taking comments after the whole 7 episodes. So you got your work cut out for you to get the
Yeah,
comments.
it's no little thing.
So that's okay. It's good for you. Good for 'em. Also, we'd like to let you guys know that You won't be going to Greyhaven Media for Zetro's vault shirts anymore or merchandise. I need you to go to Season of Mist, and that's in the United States and in Europe. They've got prints up now, and I actually have this really.
Where are you going to get that link, Steve?
Just go to that's their website.
Okay.
Season of Mist, and they're a merchandise company. They handle so many other bands. The guy Dieter runs the company, is really good guy.
Sounds German.
I don't know if he's German or not, but he might be. And he's a really good guy. They have a bunch of bands. They've got some new Zetros Toxic Vault designs up there, and they print for you. If you want it on a small, if you want it on a hoodie, if you want it on a girly, they can do whatever. You want it on the back, you can tell them how you want it, and they will make it for you. That's in the United States and in Europe, and they just came up with a cool monster one that I had my artist, Mr. Aaron Aravalos, put together, and it's really campy with some cool little monsters, and they're going to put our spider. Red Rum, we finally did a painting of Red Rum, and he's going to be on the back, and we're going to have him on there. And so, again, go to Season of Mist to get Zetro's merchandise, Toxic Vault merchandise. And again, if you need
Is that coming up or is it now?
Now, you can go there now.
Okay,
There's
good.
stuff now. They're putting more stuff up as going, so you can go there right now. And
Is
get
that
your
where you're
stuff.
going to add this ACDZ stuff too?
I haven't decided yet, but quite possibly. But we'll get to that. Also, I'd like to thank Hella Hot Sauce. He's so good to us. If you guys want, tasty. What did you think of that?
I
What did
got
you
a
think
good
of
one.
that?
This is what I put it on. I know you guys are trip on this, but I put it on my potato salad. It is no.
Maybe
you
not
put it
bad.
on the
That makes
top
it
of the
swim.
potato salad. Not even mix it. Just right on the top.
Which one did you take?
I took the medium, but
What was the flavor? Do you remember? Which one was it?
I can't remember exactly because
He gave me 7 of them, and I've been trying them, and man, some of them are really hot. But you guys go to Hella Hot Sauce if you want some shit that'll burn your tongue. Some of you guys are, it's not hot enough for me. Go to Hella Hot Sauce. It's tasty. It's got a really good taste, and plus it's hot as shit. It'll burn your fucking little mouth off.
I appreciate all the comments, you guys from around the world. Really, I couldn't even. There's so many comments and this and that. Your show's getting bigger, Steve. That's just it's not.
Well, I appreciate everybody sharing the stuff, and everybody always
And
commenting.
you can always come back if you caught the tail end. This will be on your.
And you know what? This will
on the vault.
always be up there in the vault for as long as that it stays. You can watch all the stuff. It stays here for history. That's the way it is. We appreciate all you guys coming in. I'm going to be going live a lot in the more recent weeks because it seems like I can touch you guys a lot quicker with what I got going on. But don't worry, we're going to try to get some of those other interviews back where we have the back camera and stuff. But I'm having fun doing this, aren't you? Are you guys having fun? I see so many of your comments.
We're gonna go live a lot more.
Yeah, it seems like something
it's
to do
evolving.
as we're doing that. So I hope you guys are cool with that, and we're cool with it. So
Everybody, get ready. April 3rd.
April 3rd. That's the next thing I got going on. Put this in your calendars. We're going to be going live 12 noon.
And I think you can only get it by the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you can't
We're
only
not going to put this
it's not
on
going
the
on
vault.
the vault. This is you'll have to go to afton.com to get the tickets. I'm setting a $10 ticket price. So I mean, you can go to
You're
McDonald's.
gonna get your money's worth.
Exactly. I'm just you're going to get your money's worth from this. I mean, there'll be merchandise, again, tips and contributions.
We're going to have a giveaway for that. We're going to give
I'm
away.
sure we'll give away. We'll have
Right
some-
from the stage, you're going to
Yeah,
give
we'll have some
Mail it
ACDC
out.
stuff to give away. So we'll be interacting with you guys. So that's about it, I think, for today, right?
Yeah, we went over an hour, and
Wow.
I knew it would when you said
Yeah, we
gonna-
had a lot of content. We were going to try to do Rob Duke's comments today, but it seemed like it didn't get there.
I
so,
knew that was never
So
happening.
that's okay. You schedule stuff. But like I said, next week, the 7 full unedited parts of Rob Duke's. And then in 2 weeks from today, Walter will be back with me. We'll have more info to talk about the ACDC show. And I want to hear your comments, what you say about the songs that we said. I told you, I showed you the song list now, so you know what we're playing. So I didn't want to hide that from you. So what'd you say, Walt? We back getting ready to get out
All
of
right,
here?
I just wanted to say, hey, Steve, he remembers his Celebrity Theater. That was a great gig.
God, one of the
That was
best
in the
ever.
round, like
one of the best. I never played the round. That was right after the Headbangers Ball Tour. We were.
And I
packing them in
filmed from
those
the
days.
pit, and you can see
That's
that
right.
footage used.
He has that on video, by the way.
Yeah, it's on Get Thrashed, a great documentary.
Yeah.
And that footage is in there. So, but I appreciate it. We could go through all these. We could make a
Yes,
show
we
out of
could.
these comments.
We
but
could.
We gotta go.
We got to go. So, hey, thanks for everybody coming in. Remember, subscribe to my channel. Definitely share this. And for me and Walt, we'll see you on Zetro's Toxic Vault
On the vault.
real soon. Later.